Shalom, my friends. I'm Rabbi David, and today I'm going to expose something I've kept quiet about for years. The number one secret that unlocks the floodgates of abundance. Not just a little abundance, not just some success, but floodgates. Overwhelming, unstoppable, supernatural abundance that flows into every area of your life. And by the end of this video, you will know this secret. You will understand how to activate it, and you will never look at wealth the same way again. But before I reveal it, I need to ask you something. Drop a comment below and tell me, what is the one area of your life where you need abundance right now? Is it finances? Is it relationships? Is it health? Is it peace? Tell me in the comments, because this secret works in every area. Now, before we dive deep into this teaching, I need your help with something important. I'm on a mission to reach 50,000 subscribers so I can spread this timeless wisdom about wealth, faith, and legacy to even more people. If you believe this wisdom deserves to be shared, if you believe these ancient secrets can transform lives, then please hit that subscribe button right now and join this growing community of modern thinkers and future millionaires. And if you want to go deeper, if you're serious about transformation, become a channel member. You'll get exclusive content that I don't share publicly, early access to every video, and inner circle teachings reserved for those who are truly committed. The link is right below this video. All right, let's get into it. Here's the number one secret that unlocks the floodgates of abundance. Are you ready? It's not what you think. It's not mindset. It's not hard work. It's not networking. It's not strategy. It's not even faith, although faith is part of it. The number one secret is this: radical, sacrificial, faith-based giving. Let me say that again, because this is the key to everything. Radical, sacrificial, faith-based giving. I know what you're thinking. Rabbi, I came here to learn how to get abundance, not how to give it away. But that's exactly the problem. You're thinking like a taker, not a giver. And takers never experience abundance. Only givers do. This is the most counterintuitive principle in the entire Torah. And it's the most powerful, because when you give radically, when you give sacrificially, when you give from faith, you activate a spiritual law that opens the floodgates of heaven. And when those floodgates open, abundance pours into your life in ways you cannot control, cannot predict, and cannot explain. Let me show you this principle in the Torah. In Malachi chapter 3, God says something He says nowhere else in the entire Torah. He says, "Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house. Test me in this, says the Lord Almighty, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that there will not be room enough to store it." Read that again. Test me in this. This is the only place in the entire Torah where God says, test me. Try it. See if it works. Because God is so confident in this principle, so certain of this law, that He invites you to test it. And notice the language. Floodgates of heaven. Not a trickle. Not a stream. Floodgates. Overwhelming, unstoppable, supernatural abundance. So much blessing that there will not be room enough to store it. This is not a metaphor. This is a promise. This is a spiritual law. And it works every single time. But here's the key. It's not just giving. It's radical, sacrificial, faith-based giving. Let me break down what that means. First, radical giving. Radical means beyond normal, beyond comfortable, beyond what makes sense. Radical giving is giving that makes people say, "Are you crazy? That's too much. That's irresponsible. That's reckless." When you give radically, you're giving at a level that stretches you, that challenges you, that requires faith. You're not giving your leftovers, you're not giving what's convenient, you're giving significantly, you're giving generously, you're giving abundantly. Second, sacrificial giving. Sacrificial means it costs you something. It's not easy. It's not comfortable. It requires sacrifice. You're giving something you could use for yourself. You're giving something you want. You're giving something that matters. In the Torah, we see the principle of sacrificial giving throughout. When Hannah gave her son Samuel to serve in the temple, she gave what was most precious to her. She gave sacrificially. She gave what she needed for herself. And that sacrifice activated God's blessing. She went on to have 5 more children. Sacrificial giving opens the floodgates. Third, faith-based giving. Faith-based means you're not giving because you have extra. You're giving because you believe God will provide. You're not giving out of abundance. You're giving in expectation of abundance. You're giving before you see the return. You're giving in faith that God will multiply it back to you. This is the key. When you give radically, sacrificially, and from faith, you activate a spiritual law that cannot be broken. You open the floodgates of heaven, and abundance flows. Let me tell you my story. 22 years ago, I was broke. I was working as an accountant, making decent money, but I was living paycheck to paycheck. I had debt, I had stress, I had fear, and I was desperate for a breakthrough. One day I was studying the Torah, and I came across Malachi chapter 3. Test me in this. See if I will not open the floodgates of heaven. And I felt God speak to me. He said, "David, you've been trying to create wealth your way. Try it my way. Give radically. Give sacrificially. Give from faith. And watch what I do." I was terrified. I didn't have money to give. I had bills to pay. I had debt to clear. I had responsibilities. But I felt God's voice so clearly. So I made a decision. I'm going to tithe. I'm going to give 10% of my income to God. Before I pay my bills, before I pay my debt, before I do anything else, I'm going to give first. And not just 10%. I felt God say, give 15%. 15%? God, I can't afford 10%. How am I going to afford 15%? But I heard it again. Give 15%. Trust me. So I did. I gave 15% of my income that month. It was radical. It was sacrificial. It was faith-based. And I had no idea how I was going to make it through the month. But here's what happened. That same week, I got a call from a client I hadn't heard from in 2 years. They had a project. They needed help. And they paid me more in 1 week than I'd given in the entire month. The next month, I gave 15% again. And again, unexpected income came, a bonus I wasn't expecting, a refund I'd forgotten about, a gift from a family member. Every single time I gave, abundance came back. Within 6 months, my income had doubled. Within 1 year, I was debt-free. Within 2 years, I was a millionaire. Within 5 years, I was a multimillionaire. And it all started with radical, sacrificial, faith-based giving. This is not a coincidence. This is not luck. This is a spiritual law, and it works every single time. Let me give you the 5 principles of radical giving that unlock the floodgates of abundance. Principle number 1. Give first, not last. Most people give their leftovers. They pay their bills, they spend on themselves, and then if there's anything left, they give. But that's not radical giving. That's convenient giving. And convenient giving doesn't activate the floodgates. Radical giving means you give first, before you pay your bills, before you spend on yourself, before you do anything else. You give to God first. This is called first fruits. And in the Torah, first fruits are sacred, they're holy, they're powerful. In Proverbs it says, "Honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops. Then your barns will be filled to overflowing, and your vats will brim over with new wine." First fruits. Give first, and abundance will overflow. Principle number 2. Give consistently, not occasionally. Radical giving is not a one-time thing. It's a lifestyle. It's a habit. It's a discipline. You give every single time you receive income, every paycheck, every bonus, every gift, every unexpected income. You give consistently. Consistency activates the law of sowing and reaping. In Proverbs, King Solomon teaches us, "Whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows generously will also reap generously." This is a fundamental principle of the Torah. What you sow, you reap. What you give, you receive. What you plant, you harvest. Consistent giving is consistent sowing, and consistent sowing produces consistent reaping. You don't just give once and expect abundance forever. You give consistently and receive abundance consistently. Principle number 3. Give cheerfully, not reluctantly. The attitude of your giving matters just as much as the amount. If you give with resentment, with fear, with reluctance, you're not activating the floodgates, you're blocking them. But if you give cheerfully, with joy, with excitement, with faith, you're opening the floodgates wide. In the Torah, we learn that God loves a cheerful giver. When the Israelites brought offerings for the tabernacle, they gave willingly, with joyful hearts. And Moses had to tell them to stop giving because they brought more than enough. That's what cheerful, willing giving produces: overflow. Cheerful giving is faith-based giving. It's giving with the expectation that God is going to multiply it back. It's giving with joy because you know abundance is coming. It's giving with excitement because you're activating a spiritual law. Principle number 4. Give sacrificially, not comfortably. If your giving doesn't cost you anything, it's not sacrificial. If it's easy, if it's comfortable, if it doesn't stretch you, it's not activating the floodgates. Radical giving requires sacrifice. It requires faith. It requires trust. In the Torah, when Abraham was asked to sacrifice Isaac, he didn't give something easy. He was asked to give the most precious thing he had, his son, his future, his promise. That's sacrificial. And because he was willing to give sacrificially, God provided abundantly. The ram in the thicket, the covenant, the blessing. Your giving should stretch you. It should challenge you. It should require faith, because that's what activates the floodgates. Principle number 5. Give expectantly, not hopelessly. When you give, expect a return, not because you're entitled to it, but because God promised it. This is not greed, this is faith. This is believing God's word. This is trusting the spiritual law of sowing and reaping. When a farmer plants a seed, he expects a harvest. He doesn't plant and hope maybe something will grow. He plants with expectation. He plants with faith. He plants knowing that if he does his part, God will do his part. The same is true with giving. When you give, expect abundance. Expect overflow. Expect the floodgates to open, because God promised they would. Now let me tell you 3 stories of people who activated the floodgates through radical giving. Story number 1, Sarah. Sarah was a single mother struggling to make ends meet. She was working 2 jobs, barely paying her bills, and living in constant financial stress. She came to me and said, "Rabbi, I need a breakthrough. I need abundance. I need help." I asked her, "Are you giving?" She said, "Rabbi, I can barely afford to eat. How can I give?" I said, "That's exactly when you need to give. Give radically. Give sacrificially. Give from faith. Trust God to provide." She was skeptical, but she decided to try. She committed to giving 10% of her income, even though she didn't have enough to cover her bills. The first month was terrifying. She gave her tithe and didn't know how she was going to pay rent. But 3 days later, she got a call. A job opportunity she'd applied for months ago. They wanted to hire her. The salary was double what she was making at both her jobs combined. She took the job, and within 6 months she was financially stable. Within 1 year she had savings. Within 2 years she bought a house. The floodgates opened when she gave radically. Story number 2, Michael. Michael was a successful entrepreneur making 7 figures a year, but he felt stuck. He wanted to break through to 8 figures, but he couldn't figure out how. He came to me for advice. I asked him, "How much are you giving?" He said, "I give to charity occasionally, a few thousand here and there." I said, "That's not radical giving. That's convenient giving. You're giving out of your abundance, not out of your faith." I challenged him to give radically, to give sacrificially, to give at a level that stretched him. He decided to give $1 million, $1 million, to ministry, to charity, to people in need. It was the largest gift he'd ever given. It was radical. It was sacrificial. It was faith-based. Within 3 months, he closed the biggest deal of his career, $10 million in profit. Within 6 months, he had 2 more deals. Within 1 year, he crossed 8 figures. The floodgates opened when he gave radically. Story number 3, Rachel. Rachel was a corporate executive making good money, but she felt unfulfilled. She wanted to start a non-profit, but she didn't have the resources. She came to me and said, "Rabbi, I want to make an impact, but I don't have the money to start." I said, "Start by giving. Give radically to the causes you care about. Give sacrificially. Give from faith. And watch God provide the resources you need." She committed to giving 20% of her income to charity, 20%. It was radical, it was sacrificial, it was faith-based. Within 2 months, she met a donor who wanted to fund her non-profit. Within 6 months, she launched her organization. Within 1 year, she was serving hundreds of people. Within 2 years, she left her corporate job and went full-time on her mission. The floodgates opened when she gave radically. Do you see the pattern? Radical giving activates the floodgates. Sacrificial giving opens heaven. Faith-based giving releases abundance. Now let me address the objections I know you're thinking. Objection number 1. I don't have enough to give. That's exactly when you need to give. The widow gave her last 2 coins. Abraham gave his only son. They didn't give out of abundance, they gave out of faith. And God provided. If you wait until you have enough, you'll never give radically. Give now. Give from faith and watch God provide. Objection number 2. I need to take care of my responsibilities first. God is your provider, not your income. When you give to God first, you're trusting Him to take care of your responsibilities. And He will. Every single time. I've given first for 22 years, and I've never missed a bill. I've never lacked provision. I've never been without. Because when you honor God with your giving, He honors you with His provision. Objection number 3. What if it doesn't work? God said, "Test me in this." He's so confident in this principle that He invites you to try it. So try it. Give radically for 90 days. Give sacrificially. Give from faith. And watch what happens. If the floodgates don't open, you can go back to your old way. But I promise you, they will open, because this is a spiritual law, and spiritual laws don't fail. Here's what I want you to do. Starting today, commit to radical, sacrificial, faith-based giving for the next 90 days. Decide on a percentage, 10%, 15%, 20%, whatever stretches you, whatever requires faith, whatever is radical for you. And give that percentage of every income you receive for the next 90 days. Give first, give consistently, give cheerfully, give sacrificially, give expectantly. And watch as the floodgates of heaven open over your life. In the comments below, tell me, what percentage are you committing to give for the next 90 days? And if this video revealed the secret that will unlock abundance in your life, subscribe to this channel. Next week, I'm going to teach you the ancient prayer that multiplies everything you give. Remember, the number 1 secret that unlocks the floodgates of abundance is radical, sacrificial, faith-based giving. Not taking, not hoarding, not accumulating. Giving. Because when you give, you activate a spiritual law that opens heaven. And when heaven opens, abundance flows. Shalom, and may you be blessed with the courage to give radically, the faith to give sacrificially, and the expectation to receive abundantly as the floodgates of heaven open over your life and pour out blessings you cannot contain. But before you go, I need to tell you something critical, something that will determine whether this principle works for you or not. Something that separates those who experience the floodgates from those who don't. The secret within the secret is this. You must give with the right heart, not to manipulate God, not to force His hand, not to buy His blessing, but to honor Him, to worship Him, to acknowledge that everything you have comes from Him. In the Torah, when the Israelites brought their offerings, God didn't just care about the amount, He cared about the heart. In Deuteronomy it says, "The Lord your God will bless you in all your work and in everything you put your hand to." But this blessing comes when you give with a willing heart, with gratitude, with worship. Giving is not a transaction. It's a relationship. It's not a formula. It's a faith expression. It's not about getting. It's about honoring God. And when you honor God with your giving, He honors you with His provision. So when you give, don't give with the mindset of, "I'm giving this so I can get that." Give with the mindset of, "I'm giving this because I trust God. I'm giving this because I honor God. I'm giving this because everything I have comes from God." And when you give with that heart, the floodgates open automatically. Let me also tell you what will try to stop you from giving radically. Because the moment you commit to radical giving, resistance will come, fear will come, doubt will come. This is spiritual warfare. Because the enemy knows that if you start giving radically, you will unlock abundance. And he doesn't want that. Resistance number 1. Fear of lack. The moment you decide to give radically, fear will whisper, "What if you don't have enough? What if you can't pay your bills? What if you run out?" This is the voice of scarcity. This is the voice of unbelief. This is the voice of fear. And you must reject it. The truth is, God is your provider. Not your job, not your business, not your income. God. And when you give to God first, you're trusting Him to provide. And He will. Every single time. I've given first for 22 years. I've given through recessions. I've given through challenges. I've given through uncertainty. And I have never lacked. Not once. Resistance number 2. Logic and reason. Your mind will say, "This doesn't make sense. How can giving money away make you wealthy? How can sacrificing create abundance? How can losing produce gain?" This is the voice of human logic. This is the voice of natural thinking. This is the voice of the world. And you must reject it. Because spiritual laws don't operate on human logic. They operate on divine principles. In the natural, giving creates loss. But in the spiritual, giving creates gain. In the natural, holding on creates security. But in the spiritual, holding on creates scarcity. You must choose to operate by spiritual laws, not natural logic. Resistance number 3. Comparison. You'll look at other people who don't give and seem to be doing fine. You'll think, they're not giving and they're wealthy. Why do I need to give? This is the voice of comparison. This is the voice of justification. This is the voice of compromise. And you must reject it. You're not called to live like other people. You're called to live by God's principles. You're not called to do what works for the world. You're called to do what God commands. And God commands giving. Not because He needs your money, but because you need the blessing that comes from giving. Resistance number 4. Past failures. You might say, I've tried giving before and it didn't work. I gave and nothing happened. I was faithful and I didn't see results. This is the voice of disappointment. This is the voice of discouragement. This is the voice of past experience. And you must reject it. Maybe you gave, but you didn't give radically. Maybe you gave, but you didn't give sacrificially. Maybe you gave, but you didn't give from faith. Maybe you gave, but you didn't give consistently. Maybe you gave, but you didn't give cheerfully. Maybe you gave, but you didn't give expectantly. This time, give according to all 5 principles, and watch the difference. Now, let me give you a practical 90-day giving plan that will unlock the floodgates in your life. Week 1 to 4. Start with 10%. If you've never tithed before, start with 10%. This is the biblical standard. The tithe, 10% of all your income goes to God first, before bills, before expenses, before anything else. Give 10% for the first 30 days. Week 5 to 8. Increase to 15%. After 30 days of 10%, increase to 15%. This is where it gets radical. This is where it gets sacrificial. This is where it requires faith. Give 15% for the next 30 days. Week 9 to 12. Go to 20% or beyond. After 60 days of consistent giving, go to 20%. Or, if God leads you, go even higher. This is where the floodgates fully open. This is where abundance overflows. This is where you experience supernatural provision. Give 20% or more for the final 30 days. And here's what will happen. In the first 30 days, you'll experience provision. God will provide for your needs. You won't lack. You won't go without. You'll see that giving first doesn't create scarcity. It creates provision. In the second 30 days, you'll experience increase. Your income will grow. Opportunities will come. Unexpected blessings will appear. You'll start seeing the multiplication of your giving. In the third 30 days, you'll experience overflow. The floodgates will open. Abundance will pour in. You'll have more than enough. You'll be blessed to be a blessing. You'll experience what Malachi promised. So much blessing that there will not be room enough to store it. This is not theory. This is not hope. This is a proven, tested biblical principle that works every single time. I've seen it in my life. I've seen it in thousands of lives. And you will see it in your life if you commit to radical, sacrificial, faith-based giving. So here's my challenge to you. Don't just watch this video and do nothing. Don't just agree with the principle and stay the same. Take action. Make a decision. Commit to 90 days of radical giving. And watch as the floodgates of heaven open over your life. In the comments below, tell me your commitment. Tell me what percentage you're going to give for the next 90 days. Declare it. Write it down. Make it public. Because when you declare it, you activate it. And if this video exposed the number one secret that unlocks the floodgates of abundance, subscribe to this channel. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Because this message has the power to transform lives, to break poverty, to release abundance. Remember, the number one secret that unlocks the floodgates of abundance is radical, sacrificial, faith-based giving. It's not about what you keep, it's about what you give. It's not about what you hold, it's about what you release. It's not about what you accumulate, it's about what you sow. Because when you give radically, when you give sacrificially, when you give from faith, you activate a spiritual law that opens heaven. And when heaven opens, abundance flows. Not a trickle, not a stream, but floodgates. Overwhelming, unstoppable, supernatural abundance. Shalom, my friends, and may you be blessed with the revelation to see that giving is the key to receiving, the courage to give radically, even when it doesn't make sense, the faith to give sacrificially, even when it costs you, and the expectation to receive abundantly as the floodgates of heaven open over your life and pour out blessings beyond measure.